At the end of the day, it's time to give credit where credit is due. No matter what my personal feelings are, no matter the reasons or ambitions behind doing it, when you do the right thing, you deserve a big shout out. No matter if I've beaten you up in the past or not, when you do something right, you deserve kudos. So welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I'm the host, John Livingston, aka the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as some other things. Now, when I hint at reasons and ambitions, it's not pointed at this company. It's more or less a reference to the whole frame failure, frame flex, Grand Design, allegations, alleged lawsuits, things of that nature, okay? And the reason why I bring that up is because we beat up Grand Design pretty good for a while because it just felt like John Cena. You can't see me. You can't see me. But lately I've been giving them a lot of shout outs because it seems like monthly I've got guys that are frame and independent shops, not dealerships, independent shops and mobile technicians telling me that Grand Design has really stepped up their game when it comes to fixing the frames. You know, Texas, Virginia, Oklahoma, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, California. I mean, I've got contacts everywhere. But this isn't about Grand Design. This is about Brinkley. Now, I know that I've given Brinkley some help, okay? And mainly because I don't like when a manufacturer, no matter who it is, it could be Forest River, it could be my favorite toy hauler manufacturer, Genesis Supreme, when they want to sit there and deny things instead of going, maybe there's something to this. But the folks that have reached out to me over, I don't know, the last year, talking to me about their Brinkley leaking and that they've had big, huge water intrusion and things of that nature. A lot of the ones that first initially reached out to me have now told me that they have been satisfied one way or the other by Brinkley RV. Either they've been bought out, which was very few of them. The majority of them were repaired beyond satisfaction. Now, the hoops they had to kind of jump through, and again, I'm not going to blame Brinkley on that because we're going to talk about that a little bit later, okay? We're going to talk about the hoops, and we're going to talk about the reason why I'm a little pissed off at the dealers about the situation now that I've got more of the story, okay? Now that I've broken it down to the repair and basically the satisfaction of the customer and how satisfied they were with the repair and with the treatment in the last 2 or 3 months, I now kind of see where this went wrong, okay? Now, it went wrong a lot because of the experimental automotive seal, but also went wrong in some other ways, which we'll get into a little bit later in the episode. So you might want to stick around for that. And then the others were either upgraded to a newer unit or what we call a collateral exchange, okay? Now, at the end of the day, and I talked about this in my RV industry update, the majority of these folks had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, mainly because they had to deal with the factory directly. And I know, and Greg Carson, I know you're going to kill me for this, but non-disclosure agreements, in my professional opinion, are normal in any kind of exercise that is beyond the normal warranty claim or the normal warranty process, whether it's a buyout, a collateral exchange, whatever the case may be. It is a normal process, okay? Yes, it does protect the company from the customer exposing whatever truth may have happened, okay? But it also protects the consumer. It protects all the employees involved, any third parties involved, especially in the day where people are more exposed than ever because almost anybody's got a camera and a microphone now and can post anything online, people still need to feel like they have some kind of privacy, especially if you're dealing with an attorney or a high-ranking executive over at an RV dealership or a manufacturer or a boat manufacturer or a car manufacturer. It just protects all the parties involved, not just the company. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep in mind when I hear the word NDA, the letters NDA, I don't get too upset. Okay, what may be in an NDA might piss me off, but a standard non-disclosure agreements don't really piss me off at all because I know that it's a normal process. Okay, so I can't give you model numbers, I can't give you years, I can't give you people's names, I can't give you any of that stuff. And I wouldn't do that anyway. Even if they didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement, I respect a consumer's privacy. And I think that's the only reason why I get a lot of these folks to reach out to me is they know I'm not going to expose them because they feel like if I expose them, nothing's going to get done. But at the end of the day, we still see a lot of the leak problems going on. But what that tells me is it tells me that everybody that has reached out to me is going to get taken care of. Now, I hope that any RV manufacturer watching this episode takes a page out of Brinkley's book. Now, is Brinkley completely overpriced for what it is? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is the experimental automotive seal not what it's made out to be? Of course not. Okay? But let's give them a lot of credit because they could have buried it. They could have been John Cena about it. They could have made Josh the RV nerd come on and call me names. Instead, they had somebody else call me names. But, I mean, they could have done all that. They did it with Grand Design. They could have done all that. They didn't. Outside of our one little incident, for the most part, it seems like once the bridge got crossed, and I'm explaining that in a minute, it was just a matter of time. Okay? In fact, I've been going into Facebook groups of folks that have been kind of invited to, anonymously in most cases, because otherwise Brinkley would kick me out of them, and been telling people privately that have been exposing the leaks, just contact Brinkley directly at this point, and just keep bugging them. Because I think where the breakdown occurred was the same breakdown that happened with Alliance RV and the leaky bathroom situation. Because all of a sudden, over the last, 5 months, I have gotten 0 complaints from people on that leaky bathroom in their fifth wheels, the Avenue, the Paradigm, and the Valor. I think what was happening was you would have a consumer go to the dealership, and especially with people traveling because, and warranty pays jack shit. It pays horrible money no matter who it is. They don't pay right. No manufacturer does. They pay crappy to the service departments across the U.S., but that's a story for a different day, okay? But what was happening, I'll give you an example. I had a customer that lived in Nevada, okay, bought a fifth wheel, had a major issue with that fifth wheel, but bought the fifth wheel in Ohio because they saved $6,000 because obviously the transportation cost was less. They take it to the Nevada dealer. Nevada dealer goes, yeah, we'll put that on the back burner. And then later on, the dealer went, oh, by the way, that's not covered under warranty. So then they scream and yell to high heaven, and they pay the couple $100 to get it fixed. But then the manufacturer never gets to find out the problem. So when I did that whole Alliance video last year, the Alliance video was not meant to bash Alliance, because they're actually one of my favorite manufacturers. It was to expose they had a big problem, because no matter if I like you or not, you're going to get exposed when you need to be exposed. But it was also to get these people to go to the dealership and say, no, you need to tell the manufacturer. No, you need to tell the manufacturer. I don't care. As long as, and I told people that called me personally or texted me personally, I said, go to the dealership with XYZ problem and say, fine, I got to pay for it out of pocket, but I want proof and evidence you submitted the problem with pictures and video to the manufacturer, and I'll slip you an extra $100 just to do it. Because if the manufacturer doesn't know it's a bigger problem on a grander scale, then nothing can get done about it. So that communication problem between dealer and consumer, because everybody and their mama wants to save a buck instead of buying locally, because, oh, well, why am I going to pay $6,000 more to buy at my local dealer when I can drive to Ohio? I mean, it cost me $3,000 in time, but hey. And I get it. Look, it's tempting to drive to a state that has very little transportation cost, no lemon laws, and buy an RV. I get it. Okay, I really do. But at the end of the day, you got to be taken care of. And you know what? A lot of dealers in Washington and Montana and Idaho and even parts of Texas are going to be like, screw you. You didn't buy from us. We'll put you on the back burner because warranty doesn't pay well. So a little sidebar, in the car industry, all the money's in service. You bought a car, you drove to Tennessee and Memphis, Tennessee from Southern California to buy a truck because you saved 12 grand. Yeah, they'll take care of your service because they're going to get paid big money by GMC or Ford to fix that truck. They want the maintenance money. They want the cost money. RVs, service departments lose money. Camping World will even tell you. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that. And it wasn't even anybody on the other line. It was like a ghost line. Anyway, so at the end of the day, ask Camping World. Camping World will tell you to your face, service is a bloody money pit. The only job of it is to try to have customer retention. That's it. There are independent service shops that I personally talked to that if you took your coach in for warranty work, they'd say, sure, we'll do it, but you're going to pay us up front. We'll give you the repair order. You go get the money from the manufacturer. Okay, I don't want to deal with it. And these are guys that are good techs. These aren't your run-of-the-mill 20-year-old learning how to PDI a unit. But that being said, the biggest reason why I want to give Brinkley kudos also is because the time. Okay? Instead of wasting time, somebody somewhere woke up and went, maybe there's something to this. I don't know if they all of a sudden got flooded with calls. I don't know if their social media people said, we can't bury this. I don't think that's the case, just to let you know. I don't know what the real reason was. I know it's not because of me. But something opened up the floodgates that made him go, maybe we should look deeper into this. And it would not shock me whatsoever is if year model 2027 came out, and I wrote an article about this, that all of a sudden they have a new improved seal, and that's their new sales pitch. It would not shock me that coming out of this, they're going to have some kind of improvement on whatever they're doing, or they're going to completely change what they're doing. Would not shock me 100%. So if you are a Brinkley travel trailer, toy hauler, fifth wheel owner, and you are seeing what people have been seeing all over the internet, this leak problem, they are taking care of it. It might take them a while to get to you. You might have to do some things during this camping season to kind of make it through the wave of it, but they are not going to let this get out of hand. And congrats to them, because they could have done exactly what happened a couple years ago when Paving New Paths was blowing up the internet about frame flex and frame failure and all the crap going on with their solitudes and their momentums and all that stuff. They could have had the CEO, like CEO of Winnebago, they're just over exaggerating. It's really nothing to do with it. and have Josh the RV nerd come up and go, it's less than 1/2 of frames. I mean, you could have done all that. You didn't. And no matter what Mr. I don't remember if it's Goldberg or Goldenberg, but no matter what he said about me, calling me a blowhard, doesn't matter. I don't care if him and I personally hate each other. Don't care. They deserve credit. So that brings me to my last thing. And my last thing is manufacturers, dealers, and consumers somehow need to have better communication. Okay? I don't know what that's going to take. I don't even know what that really looks like. I have some ideas on how to make it better, and I'll share them in future episodes because it's too much to pack into one 20-minute episode. But here's the problem that I see. There is too many issues that become bigger than what they have to be. All because the communication is shit. It really is. I'll give you an example, a real life example that happened 10 years ago. That way nobody current can get mad at me. Okay? Little Guy Trailers, which is completely out of business, so nobody can get mad at me for bringing up a brand and pointing the finger at somebody. Little Guy Trailers had a massive problem with their axles. One of the best quality trailers I've ever seen in the small teardrop section, okay? They went out of business for a lot of reasons, but in 2016, I kept seeing people come in with axle problems all day. And every single technician that I would run into would tell the customer, that's not covered under warranty, that is maintenance. And the customer would just say, oh, okay. And then they would say, hey, look, if you don't believe me, call the manufacturer yourself. Now, if you don't know anything about the inner workings of an RV factory, for every 500 customers, there's one person to answer the phone. Because Indiana is not a big state. It doesn't have a lot of people. So I'll point the finger at Brinkley here, not in a bad way, but just kind of like, let's say 300 Brinkleys were sold, one person to answer the phone for 300 people. So you might leave 10 messages and get pissed off and throw your freaking phone against the wall and just pay the freaking service department to fix the axle. So, and when my guys would get a hold of these folks back in the day, this is at Barber RV before they went out of business, I had a really smart service manager there. His name was Jason. And Jason would take any axle or any frame complaint or anything, take all the pictures and video, give them a cash estimate, and then go send it into warranty with that different manufacturer. Whether it was Lippert, whether it was BAL or Norco or whoever the case may be. And in some cases, he would get partial payment and cut the bill down. I used to watch people walk in. I remember specifically this Little Guy trailer. It was a couple years old. The axle was completely blown. And he gave the folks an estimate of like $2,400 bucks back then to do the whole thing. He got, and I don't remember whether it was Lippert or Norco, I can't remember who made the axle, but he got the axle company to cover $1,800 bucks. So the only thing customer really came out of pocket on was new tires and new brakes, like $600 bucks. So when he called the customer and said, hey, guess what? I decided to send it over to the manufacturer of the axle, and they're, even though it's 3 years old and out of warranty, they're willing to cover this amount of it. Oh, wow. So when you all of a sudden go from 25 or 2,600 bucks down to 400 or 500 bucks, you like, I'll use them for life. But we've lost the art of that. We've lost the art of it across every industry. The art of taking care of the customer, because it starts at the refrigerator, the microchip, the nut and bolt, the fiberglass manufacturer, the car manufacturer, the engine manufacturer, the wheel manufacturer. It starts at every level in every industry, at the very top of a company's list. It starts there. And I'm going to give you a great example of this, and I'm going to cut it off. I was making some really big money as a finance manager. I was probably one of the best because I was trained by the best. I was trained by the best guy in the industry. His name's Ryan. Best guy in the industry, taught me how to do finance. So I would say I was one of the best because I was taught by the best. Okay? What they were paying me during the 2012 to 2018-19 period, up until just after COVID, they won't nearly pay me that anymore. Because I can't see I always hear these owners of dealerships say, I can't imagine paying people more money than I'm going to make. It's no longer about whether something runs smoother or runs better, or, oh, hell, everything's running good, I can go out and play golf all day. No, it's now about how can I get things cheaper? Part of that is AI, part of that is other factors. So when you have a manufacturer of anything, a car, an RV, a boat, and they sit there and they say, well, it only takes me 2 hours to do it in the factory, so I'm not going to pay you 6. You start to wonder why you're nickel and diming things like that. And a lot of it is, I just can't. And it's literally, I've heard the words come out of people's mouths. Dealerships, grocery stores, retail operations like Best Buy. I've heard it too many times from too many people. I can't see myself paying somebody that. And these are the same people that scream and yell for a federal minimum wage to go up. So imagine that. You got all these people that are campaigning on let's increase to great wages, but yet they're the same fucking people that can't see themselves paying somebody that amount of money to do such a simple job. It's crazy. Until next time, remember, RV always stands for toolkit and sense of humor.